Welcome to the continuing series of How To from pregame.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined with my partner in crime, Vegas Runner. This week, this is the first of a two-part series. We're going to have two videos this week talking about betting and the great debate, flat betting or unit betting. We're going to take flat betting in one video, and then we're going to talk about unit betting in another video. The camps are divided on this style of betting. And we're not saying one's right over the other. Actually, me personally, I think it's more to the style of the bettor than having a right or a wrong. But Vegas Runner, you're a professional bettor. I'm a professional bettor, and I think we're going to end up having a little bit of different views here.
Sure. I'll tell you the truth. I've employed both styles, and I think it doesn't just have to do with your risk tolerance. It has to do with how far along you are as a bettor and how disciplined you are. Because to flat bet takes the risk out of the equation as far as how strong of a play do I have, and adjusting and the risk of chasing, because when you adjust unit size, it's easier to make a 1 unit into a 3 if you lost the day before to try to get it back. But if you're just flat betting, the chances of you chasing...
It's the same every day.
Exactly. And what you're trying to do is just overcome the VIG. Nothing more. With unit betting, the math changes a little, because you could go 1 and 2 and still turn a profit based on your unit size. But when you're flat betting, what you're trying to do is outrun the VIG, which is possible if you have an edge and you're a winning sports bettor.
Well, let's start with the flat betting. This video is going to be flat betting, and I look at the flat betting. One, I'm going to highly recommend flat betting for anybody that is first starting
for sure
in the sports betting world. The flat betting, as you said, takes the risk out of it, takes the mathematics out of it, and it takes that feel. And feel is something that is very, very important. And you will find it when we go to the next video. I'm going to be a bigger advocate to the unit betting because I have that feel.
I am now too. And back in the day, I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I was first started getting steam back in Philly, the way I got it was because I was willing to book it. I knew these guys won. So what I did was try to follow their bets. But until you build a relationship and give them enough on a play, they're using you for middles, hedges, edging off. They're using you for a lot more than just getting down their main steam play. And because I wasn't sure of this, and when I was adjusting my wagers, I was finding myself not winning certain months that they were telling me they kicked ass. And I sat down with someone and he said, make it easy on yourself. Until you figure this out, just flat bet everything we give you, and you will come out ahead, because I promise you what I give you is going to win more than it's going to lose, even if I use you for a middle. Eventually, I started getting enough outs where I could get down to so much money that they were giving me the real stuff. But to make a long story short, when I went to flat betting, I was able to turn a profit much more easier, because at that time I didn't have feel, and I had some gamble in me. I'm not going to lie. And that's why I'm saying, if you're disciplined, then you could go to different levels. But if you don't trust that you're disciplined enough, flat betting is the best way that you could bet. And you don't have to sweat things out as much. Plus, it gives you more time to handicap, because you already know how much you're going to bet.
Right.
Now, for us as professional bettors, after you have your card, it takes you some time to figure out which ones you're going to bet for more.
Right.
So this is time that a newbie could put more time into their handicapping than trying to figure out how much they're going to bet.
To elaborate further on it, why it's better for a newbie, I'm going to make a reference to a movie. And around the office here, RJ busts my stones all the time. When it comes to the world of poker, okay, the favorite poker movie for almost everybody is Rounders.
Sure.
Okay. In the movie Rounders, everybody wants to be Mike, Matt Damon's character.
Sure, that takes down the rush.
Okay, but everybody's not. And there's another character in that movie, and that's my nickname when it comes to the poker world. It's Knish. And Knish is a grinder. He'll go, he'll sit, he'll play, he'll
minimize
grind out.
risk, maximize return.
Absolutely. And when you're flat betting, that is
what you're doing.
Absolutely to the T. And for a newbie, that is the best way to go. Get your bankroll built that way.
I agree, Marco. And it makes you start to look at it as a market and understand money management. And going back to more like investments and financial side of it, you know, guys like Warren Buffett built their careers on minimizing risk. All they were about was limit the risk tolerance. That was the key. And that's how, you know, the wealth came. Unfortunately for bettors, too many bettors have gamble in them, and they gamble. And we know what happens to gamblers. In the end, the house takes the money. But you eliminate gambling from the equation by flat betting. And I'm not saying you're guaranteed to win, but your exposure's less, and you don't have to, you know, put so much effort and work into, like you said, determining which is your strongest play. You feel you have an edge, you like the game, don't try to determine which one's stronger than the other, bet them all the same, try to win, you know, 3 out of every 5 bets. You know at the end you're going to turn a profit.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of that out of the equation and makes it more simpler. I have no problem with that.
It takes the decisions out of it. There's no decisions.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're not wasting any time trying to determine, I like the Cubs and I like the Phils. Which one's stronger? Which one am I going to bet? You know, 1.5 unit. Which one is my best bet? You know, and you don't do that. You bet them both the same, and you try to turn a profit. The other thing, though, that we haven't gotten to yet when it comes to flat betting, I think the biggest major factor is also how much of your bankroll are you going to flat bet? And I'm one that thinks the less, the better. You don't want to ever expose too much of your bankroll in one day. But Absolutely. Even then, even that one day you have a play, let's say you say I'm never going to expose more than 15% of my bankroll. The day that you only have one play doesn't mean you should put 15% of your bankroll in that one play. So I believe you really need to take that bankroll and bet, if you're going to flat bet, as small of a fraction as you could. And I'm talking about 1%, 2% of your bankroll, because you want to be able to overcome those tough stretches. And you could do that by flat betting, especially if you bet a small portion of your bankroll per play. It's the safest route, I think, for bettors to take the flat bet approach, especially if in the past you've gotten burnt via money management. Again,
to steal another phrase from poker, you want to have, when you sit down at a poker table, there's different games. There's 1-2, there's 2-5, there's 5-10. What you determine is what your bankroll is. Which game you should play is based on the number of big blinds. And your flat betting should be that too.
I agree.
You have a bankroll, you have X number of big blinds for that bankroll. That is what your flat unit should be. Once your bankroll gets to the level that you're ready, like in poker, to go from a 1-2 game to a 2-5 game, it's the same way with your betting. Once you're sports betting,
at another level, even though your percentage of your bankroll is the same, your unit amount increased because your bankroll increased. But people just, for some reason, don't have the patience, and that's what the books bank on, that you don't have the patience. And the one thing before we wrap this up, because we are running out of time, the bottom line is this: you know, you're not guaranteed to win either way. This minimizes risk, but also the downside of it is it minimizes return as well. If you have feel, you could do a lot better with unit adjustment.
Which we're going to segue into part 2, which we're going to look at unit betting. So this has been the great debate: flat betting versus unit betting.
I want to know what you guys think and what you do, actually.
We want to carry this conversation on.
Absolutely.
Please come into the threads, go to YouTube, and we want to keep the conversation going on this, because this is a great discussion.
I want to know how much of their percentage of their bankroll do they bet guys that flat bet, or in what they believe.
He's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. This has been a pregame.com podcast. You can download and listen to all of our podcasts by going to iTunes and searching pregame.com.